Now it's time. So, welcome everyone back after a little break. It's my pleasure to welcome here April and Mark. They are both experts on open space technology. I know April for a while. She was actually last year in March with me in New York. And she was in charge of actually on the spot trying to figure out how to involve people who were not feeling that good going face to face to that conference. It was last conference I've been. Actually, the New York started the state of emergency or something like that during that event. So people were dropping and more people were saying, I don't feel comfortable. I'm in my hotel room. Can you take me in? So we got this hybrid conference, and April was in charge of virtual world and virtual facilitators bringing that experience to the room, and I was in charge with Marcia about the face-to-face world, which was slightly disappearing to nowhere. So without further delay, Mark and April.
Thank you. Well, I'm not Mark, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mark. Besides him loving the color orange, which he so he can match the sticky notes and really shine bright for you all. He is very known in the remote world. He's a polyglot where he dives in Agile, remote spaces, open space. Of course, we talk about it daily with one another. And besides being an amazing father, he's a former rocket scientist. So that's a little bit about Mark.
Thank you. And let me introduce my good friend and colleague, April. April has the amazing ability, no matter where she is, to not just read the room, but to empathize with the room. So it's really her superpower to help people have the conversations and the collaborations that they truly need in that moment. And that's actually what had us start collaborating last summer, I guess, with August, September timeframe, and start looking at what is it about open space. And some of you might be familiar with open space as an event. We think of it a little more broadly. So most people are introduced to open space where you go in and there's no agenda, and a facilitator steps into the middle of a circle, when you could do that physically, and hopefully we will be able to do that again soon. But step into the circle and talk about how do you co-create the space for the day? How do you co-create what's important to talk about? What's important to really wrestle with in the moment? And April and I realized as we started collaborating that those elements of open space have kind of oozed into other parts of our thinking in our lives. And we started discovering that with others. And that's what we wanted to share with you today, how it goes into how we coach as Agile coaches, how we work, sometimes how we play. And you might find that April and I will play a little bit in this session too. So hopefully you are open to that.
Yeah. So today we're gonna surface like a groundhog, explore like a bumblebee, and reflect like a butterfly. And what we want to invite you all to do first is to, in chat, we invite you to take a moment and consider thinking of a metaphor. When you're contributing at your worst, it is like what? And I'm going to invite Mark to share his verbally as people think about that in the chat.
So when I'm contributing at my worst, I'm not really contributing. I'm just getting through things, sometimes crashing through the work, not really looking to collaborate, but just to get stuff done. A colleague of mine used to use another variation of that phrase, but I will keep it clean here today. But that idea of just need to get stuff done, and everything kind of breaks down from that.
So we're seeing a few things in chat. Going through the motions, always competing. There's issues with communication, alignment, and collaboration.
Frustrating, takes others down too. Yeah. Robotic. Oh, like too thin glass. Yeah. Can't think, like I'm in shock. Yeah.
Wow. Anything else? Thinking on behalf of others. Frozen.
Alone. Yeah. See a Myers-Briggs fan there.
Oh.
Yeah. I turn into the INTJ robot. Yeah.
Wow, we have more. They're flying in now, detached. Some people might shut down, others might overshare.
Like a waterfall. Yeah.
Oh. For meditating.
Yeah.
Thank you all. So I want to flip that. And I'm gonna talk to Mark a little bit. And here's our question. When you're contributing at your best, it's like what? What is that like, Mark?
It's not work. It's like play. You know, and I've had that opportunity to work with some really great teams where we're all contributing, we're all valuing, even if it's maybe not that great of a contribution, but it's like we're playing together.
What kind of play?
It's almost like tag. It's like, oh, I've got a great idea, but tag, you're it. What idea do you have?
Is there anything else?
There's no rules, but there's sort of an implicit fairness to how we contribute together.
We can go deeper, but we're going to create space for you all to do that with one another and explore that together in breakouts. So we invite you to ask one another, when you're contributing at your best, it's like what? And I'm going to put it in chat here. And those follow-up questions. What kind of? What? For Mark, it was play.
Yeah, we saw some other ideas in chat there, but I'm going to open up the rooms here in just a second, and you'll be able to share with a smaller group. And if that doesn't feel comfortable, you're also welcome to stay here with us. All right. So I'm going to open up the rooms now. When you're contributing at your best, what kind of X, and is there anything else about X? All right, I see we've got folks moving off into rooms. Excellent. All right, checking the rooms. So in some cases we have at least pairs, that's good. Some triads, wonderful.
And you shift me off as well, but you can't get rid of me that fast. Oh.
And we have a couple here with us, but what shall we share with those that are still here with us?
Well,
and with our beautiful video editor, who we don't know who that is yet,
yeah.
but we like to hold the space for everyone.
So question, room number 10 is asking for help.
Oh.
Do you want me to go check on them?
Yeah, you can go check on them.
All right,
And
I'll be right back, and you can share with the video editor.
And my room was completely quiet. I speak to them and no one responded.
no one responded. That's okay. You can speak to me,
Yeah.
Susie.
Yeah. So if we do it once more, you might want to do a little bit larger groups. So because we don't know who is like listening and who just started and then leave, right? So
Yeah. Did he only put it in groups of 2 or 3?
there were 4 of us. So it was
Okay.
3 to 4.
Okay.
Most likely.
Hi. So for people who are just joining, we're exploring the question, when you're contributing at your best, it is like what? So I'll invite Susie to share as people are in breakouts.
You want me to share, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So when I'm contributing at my best, I guess I'm like a wind.
Like a what?
Like a wind, the small breeze, maybe it's, not a strong wind, but that kind of flow of the air.
Is there anything else about that wind, that flow?
Calmness. And it's a little bit fresh. Not cold, not warm, sort of fresh.
What kind of calmness and freshness?
Relaxing. I think it's really relaxing, yeah. And energizing as well.
Beautiful. So those who just joined, we're exploring when you're contributing at your best, it's like what? Today we're talking about open space and agility. And this is kind of just a soft starter for the conversation. And we're going to dive into it a little bit more as when people return from their breakouts. Did anyone else want to share?
Well, yeah, for me, it's like endless energy, like a big ocean. Like you can go on forever, doesn't matter. And yeah, it's like zero gravity, or like underwater. Like you can just explore in every direction. It's endless. Yeah.
So is there anything else about that endless exploration and energy?
Good question. I don't know. Like just freedom. Yeah. That's just the energy. Yeah.
What kind of freedom?
Yeah, to be able to follow your ideas. Just like, yeah, creativity, basically.
That sounds beautiful. Did anyone else want to explore while we wait for people to come back? I'm really waiting for Mark. Well, I can share for me. Oh, there you are, Mark. You're on mute, my friend. It's the quote of 2020 and 2021.
But can't end a good thing. So Smith had a silent partner, so we were just running through the exercise, and
Okay.
it was a beautiful metaphor she had. So,
Oh, wow.
so
Are you ready to?
I was pulled into the metaphor. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Are you ready to invite people back?
I think we should. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you broadcast and let them know, or should I do that first?
Go ahead and let them know, or close it.
Bring you back.
I think it's okay. They've been there a while.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just. I hate the Zoom hook. Oh, very short. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Woo. Okay. Yeah, we usually do 60-second. I should have asked about that, but that's okay. All right. Hey, I see people getting sips of coffee and they're looking relaxed. That's good. Or tea.
Thank you, Shawani. I was like, I don't know if you were offering me a sip, but I will take some if you are offering. If it looks like it was maybe tea. I don't know. Welcome back, everyone. And what did you notice? You're welcome to come off mute and talk to us, or share in chat.
So from my group, I noticed that not everybody feel like the same when they're at their best, right? It's like for some people it's like, hey, I'm making it, I'm doing it. For others, it's like we feel free. And then for some, it feel like they're still not doing enough, right? So
Mm.
That's what I kind of picked up from my little breakout room.
Oh, there's so much in that. Wow.
Yeah. Do you go by CI? Is that
CL.
CI? Okay, sorry.
Yes, sir. Yeah, CL.
Yeah, I just want to check. Thanks.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Is there anything different?
Oh, I see what I just saw what Oliver shared. DJing on my turntables, playing tunes to improve the mood of the audience. Yeah. Through their feedback. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I see Shawani shares positivity. I was with Smitha, who had a beautiful metaphor. And I won't put her on the spot, but if she wants to jump in on audio, that's fine too.
Sure.
Yeah.
This
So
is Smita.
could you share a little bit about your
Oh yes,
metaphor?
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I feel I am playing music when I am doing my best at work because I would never want it to end. In that music, when I am playing it, I would have time to reflect during the pauses. And sometimes I go really, really fast. Sometimes not that fast. Sometimes I record myself and learn. And I wonder at myself how many times sometimes I have to practice, but I never get tired because I would see an opportunity to improve at every time.
Hmm.
I never get bored. And to play that music, I need the perfect background. And to play that music really well, I need to work with others. If I play myself, it's not great. If I have others, it is great music. Teamwork makes the great music.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing some
Thank
head
you.
nods here on the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Smith. That was awesome.
Does someone want to offer in chat or come off mute and share with us, like, what happens just before?
Yeah. What happens before you're contributing at your best?
If I may say,
Mm-hmm.
there is a indefinite pause. Sometimes it's a small pause, sometimes it's more longer. Before really contributing something of value, I think there is a pause and a trigger that comes from somewhere.
Thank you, Oliver in chat. Preparation to select the right records to play. A range of emotions. You feel and believe the purpose.
Yeah.
So we
Go ahead.
go ahead. We're
And
quite unscripted.
and sometimes we collide in that music. So, but you're probably wondering, what in the world does this have to do with Agile?
Yeah.
And that's I'm sure that's where my partner was going with that.
Yeah. We
Um,
were in sync going the same place. So go
yeah,
ahead, you start.
we were.
I'll
So
fill in.
So sometimes, and the funny thing was, I was just having we were both in a conversation on Clubhouse about this very thing about an hour ago. Some feel you have to control the space to make things go and to make teams go. But if you can learn to hold the space with empathy, what do people need? What are the right conditions? That's why April asked that question. What happens just before that? So do you notice what are the right conditions that are in place before you contribute at your best, or when others contribute at your best? Or do you have conversations with your team around that?
Yeah. So with open space, it's powered by 5 principles in a law. And if you know what any of those are, you can throw them in the chat, but I'll cover them real quickly. Whoever's there are the right people. Whatever happens is the only thing that could. Wherever it happens is the right place. When it starts, it starts. When it's over, it's over. And that law that guides it, oh, we discovered is way more than just a law. It's a practice, it's a value, it's a way to live. And that's one of mobility. It kind of started off as the law of 2 feet, and we've grown to understand that mobility is the core of it all. That moving yourself, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, where you can contribute or receive value or go someplace else. So I'll open up the floor under just sharing that in that lens. And you're all welcome to come off mute. You know, we like the voices, the volumes, the ahans and the amens, or whatever you like to utter, please. That's music to our ears in this space.
That's our feedback signal. So.
Yeah.
Say it again, April. Say it again. I think everybody wants to hear it again. You're writing it down.
Oh, all the open space? Sure. You know, I can talk about open space all day, every day. But whoever's here are the right people. Whatever happens is the only thing that could. Wherever it happens is the right place. When it starts, it starts. When it's over, it's over. And the law of mobility. And when you think about the law of mobility, think of it as for you to be someplace where you're adding or contributing to value. And if not, go someplace where one of those things are true.
And as you start experiencing, I'm not going to say follow, because that's not really the right term. It's really experiencing those principles and that law of mobility. You start to notice other elements pop up. And that's what we have surrounding us here on the sticky notes. So you start to notice how invitation is important. So throughout this session, we have invited you to share in chat, to share in breakouts, to share on audio if you felt comfortable. We didn't say you have to. So there's great power in invitation. That's that. Well, I couldn't remember who said purpose. A couple people said purpose before. It's inviting people to share what's important about that purpose.
So when we just shared with you those principles in the law of open space, in that first exercise, where did you see them show up? What is invitation?
Inclusiveness.
Could you say that one more time?
Inclusiveness. Being included.
Mhm. Yes. It helps support that inclusiveness, that whoever's there are the right people, right?
Everyone wants to be noticed, at least in a good way, and welcomed and included, part of, feel important. You know, if you can do that for your team, they'll shine for you.
I would add they'd probably shine for each other.
And themselves too, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that is present in invitation is mobility. The ability to choose. I think about those metaphors that you all threw in the chat. And mobility, whether it was the absence of or the presence of mobility, was present in a lot of them. Is there any personal reflections that people may want to offer by exploring when you're contributing at your best or worst that may have shown up for you?
I think I can offer that, not personally the metaphors that I said, but I was pretty amazed by the comparison to music by Smita. And in one of our breakout rooms, you know, the members that I had in there, they had a really good take on performing at their best. So there were a lot of wow moments where I kind of felt like maybe I'm just falling into a cliche of admiration, but it wasn't that. It really was so inspiring to hear everybody and just know that there can be so many different perspectives. And we all know that, but it came very much to light. And yet all of those are so valuable. And you can really take any one of them in mind and still, you know, find a way to take it, use it, and move forward with it.
Thank you.
And hopefully I'm pronouncing the first name correctly. Dilek had mentioned around invitation. I guess the question is so important for open space as part of the invitation. So some have called it question, some have called it theme. Sometimes it's the call. What is it that draws people in? And it might be, okay, we're here to work on a problem, or who wants to work on this? Who has passion around this? So that seems challenging sometimes in a corporate environment. I can't remember who made the comment about watching the team members shine, but if you can hold that space for them where they feel included, they all feel valuable, they all feel they can contribute at their best, they'll answer that call. They'll answer that call to perform at their best.
Maybe someone has a thought around, as we talk about invitation, like we are gathered because we're Agilists, right? Or exploring the Agile journey. What do you think the importance of invitation is to begin that Agile journey?
Say, so could you like say that one more time? What is like the question?
What is the importance of invitation in beginning the Agile journey?
Importance of invitation. Are you saying like inviting other people to join the Agile journey, or
Mm.
is that what you're saying?
Yeah, is there impact on being Agile transformation being put upon people versus them having choice?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's always an impact, right? Whenever we do any type of change. So, people feel the first thing that happens in change is what? Fear, the unknown, what's about to happen next, what is my role? Are we doing a reorg? Am I going to get let go because it's reorganization? It's a lot of confusion when these people want to make change because of buzzwords or to please stakeholders and investors, right? Because investors going to ask the companies, "Hey, are y'all agile? Or y'all like Tesla? Do you think you can be like Tesla in whatever domain you in, right?" And and the company is obviously going to answer yes because they need their investors, right, to stay alive. So then it's time for agile transformation, right? As we all know, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Fidelity, um, everybody's trying to catch up with Capital One, right? All these older banks are catching up with Capital One, and Capital One made that decision together as a whole And when the organization make that decision as like a singular CIO or CTO that want to please the investors, it is just like they're just like, hey, we're going through agile transformation. It's like, okay, so have my work not been good enough for y'all? Have I not put in more than 40 hours a week for y'all? Are you not pleased with my teams, right? So we start asking ourselves these questions because the company want to make a huge change without even talking to us about it in depth, right? Like, why are we doing this agile transformation? What do we need it for? What are we trying to change here that we can't just do, without calling it agile? Can we do this ourselves without inviting strangers to come tell us or suggest things that, you know, we don't know anything about, right? So there's a lot to go into that question. There's a lot of different ways you can see that question, right?
So CA, if I got that right again.
CL.
CL, sorry. One of those elements of open space that you can leverage, and you can see over that shoulder right there, is circle. So when those kind of questions arise, is it coming from top down, or are you bringing people together to find out what are their concerns? What's important to them? Inviting the sharing of that. Now, some think that's not possible in a corporate environment. I would say it is. I would say it is. In the last organization I was in, which got to around only 400 people, fully remote, we had those circles. We had the opportunity for people to share those concerns. So each team had that, each group had that. So by providing that invitation, by providing that space, holding that space, you can do that.
So why do you think we had you explore when you contributed at your worst?
Because people that are forced to do something are typically going to contribute at their worst.
Anything else or different?
To follow up that great answer, for me, it would be reason why you had us think about what it feels like to be at our worst is um, to get us to thinking, you know, maybe to think of solutions of, why we're at our worst. Like in my mind, right? So I think that's why y'all wanted to ask that question was to separate, to understand, or do you even understand when you're at your worst, right? How do you feel? What's those emotions or those thoughts to kind of get us to gauge ourselves from the inside out, right? Because as Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, we deal with a lot of external things, right? That has nothing to do with us. Like literally sit in meetings that has nothing to do with us. And, to some people, there might be a lot of pressure. To others, it might be boring. And, you might feel at your worst, but it don't mean you can't contribute to. So that was my thoughts.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
And why the opposite? Why the best at your best?
I think having that self-awareness, successful leaders have self-awareness of their strengths and weaknesses, tying it together with the weaknesses and admitting it to yourself, where you can be at your best and you're working on your weaknesses and being honest to yourself and committed to change and bringing it forward.
So I really appreciate that point, Jasmine, because that idea of self-awareness includes learning and unlearning. And as we're wrapping up here in the next couple minutes, we can stick around for Q&A, but that getting into that habit of unlearning those things that are causing you not to contribute well and trying to learn how do you move forward into better ways of contributing and helping others contribute is a key skill, not just for successful leaders, but really for all of us. That's really where we all can succeed if we really take that time for reflection and identifying what we need to unlearn and learn to move forward. And then how do we expand that as a group? So April, did you maybe want to close this out and then we can answer any questions maybe in the breakout?
Oh yeah, it's already time. To wrap it all up is that those metaphors gave us stories. And we learned something through those stories. And it gave us little ahas that can ignite possibilities on what you could do. How you could show up, engage as your coaches, consultants, in your organization's team member, whether you're coaching at the team level or at a larger level. And I think now we're gonna open up the floor to anyone else or breakout. Is that the pattern now? Do we all go to breakouts or do we just open the floor here?
I still have a few questions for you until the 50. And then when there is a time, then we open for conversation if you don't mind. So unless somebody from the audience has a question, I have some. So what you talk about, this whole open space idea, this whole inclusivity, that whole entire thing is very often frightening for people who are like got used to, there is a meeting, it has exact agenda, only invited people, and they have to come, and that mindset, right? So how do you introduce something like open space to organization like this? I got that question all the time, so I thought I'd pass it to you.
I saw April smiling, which tells me she has a response, but she's waiting on me. So so I have not only answered the question, I have faced that reality. So in that same remote company, and if you are familiar with culture in the Eastern United States, it's a very go, go, go kind of culture. Let's get this done. Let's finish the meeting early. However, they were starting to realize that things were missing. They were starting to notice that people were not contributing at their best. And they were starting to ask questions, okay, what can we do different? And as the coach at the time, I said, there's some things we could try. We started simply with Lean Coffee, which is a much smaller version of open space. You could do it for 30 minutes. You can do it for an hour. But as we did that and people came together and they brought their questions, their concerns, one of the executives, the one I reported to, realized he needed to open different spaces. So he started, anytime there was some change happening, rather than just announce it in the all hands meeting, he would blog about it. It would usually come out on Monday. He would talk about it in the all hands meeting on Wednesday and leave it open for questions. And of course, many people didn't ask questions then. So he had some ask me anything sessions afterwards in smaller groups, which people would attend and would ask him questions. And then anything that he got out of that wasn't of a more personal impact nature, but something just more he thought was a broader concern, he would share that in the next blog post. This is what I'm hearing from some people. I'm wondering if others are feeling this. And he would basically invite even more feedback that way. So I would say the simple answer, Susie, is you need to find simple ways to model the practice and seek the benefit of the practice.
April, do you want to build a little bit on top of that?
Yeah, so
Cut you out, right?
I'll give to yes and that, and give some practical options for people to do, especially no matter at what level of the organization you're playing, if you're a team coach, scrum master, or coaching above, or whatever you are. It's the biggest thing is that most organizations will say, we have too many meetings. Wow. And it's wild and crazy, right? And so let's audit the calendar. Let's have a conversation around it. Because I've been in places they had too many meetings, and most people, they're just staying there because they're forced to stay there, and people are distracted. They're on a laptop, unfocused. You know, those are some signs, they're signals that this isn't working. So why are you there? Are there a better way to collaborate? Or if they made a transformation, going through the transformation, they have meetings that have aged, they're now archaic and that can go away. They forgot to drop things that are duplicates, and that this is where we have these conversations at. And it provides breath. And it's something to get excited about. So it's no longer about this having things open, like that open invitation. It's not about, because that's control of figuring out who needs to be here. Like, let's make it exclusive. Instead of, ooh, who are we not thinking of? Who could add value here? And inviting, like, this is the conversation we're going to have. If you have something contribute, show up. We're done. Giving them the option. And too often it's like, I don't even know why I'm there. A simple thing someone could do is say, how will I be able to contribute? you have no idea why you're there. Like you take control of your mobility.
And sometimes it's they understand why they're there, but they don't have enough control over how they work. So one team I work with, a process had been imposed upon them, and they were familiar enough with Jira, so I just gave them permissions to change the Jira board. I said, okay, what would you change? And if there's some things you can't change in the workflow, let me know, because I can do it for you. So what would you change to visualize your work and to make sure things don't get lost, things don't get stalled? It took them a few iterations, but by having the invitation to own the process, they started rethinking, oh, this is why we don't like the process as it is. What if we did this? And they experimented. Some things didn't work, some did, but they eventually got to a process, and they really contributed even more after that because they now owned how they worked. And some of you as Agile coaches or Scrum Masters have probably seen that, but I know not everybody has. So what can you invite your teams to own? Where can you invite the mobility?